All right, now let's say it's a squirrel. You manage to get it in the jar, and you tie a bunch of rocks to the jar, chuck it in the ocean. Now what are we looking at?
It'll find out after an hour, right?
Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Polymorph.
I know that sound effect from Hearthstone. Every time you would polymorph something, the sheep sound effect from
Ah,
Blizzard's game would go. Meh. It was incredible. Best spell for was mages back in the day. This is polymorph from Dungeons and Dragons though, and it does still turn things into sheep. This is a fourth level cast time of an action, 60-foot cast range, most magic shield components. It requires a caterpillar cocoon. Cute. Cast time of an one action, concentrations. Yeah, duration is concentration 1 hour. You have to concentrate on it. You get a long, nice transformation. Because the spell transforms a creature that you can see within range into a new form. An unwilling creature must make a wisdom saving throw to avoid the effect. Spells no effect on a shape changer or a creature with 0 hit points. The transformation lasts for the duration or until the target drops to 0 hit points or dies. The new form can be any beast whose challenge rating is equal to or less than the target's or the target's level if it doesn't have a challenge rating. The target's game statistics include mental ability scores are replaced by the statistics of the chosen beast. That's really, really important that its mental ability scores are also changed. It retains the alignment and personality. The target assumes the hit points of its new form. When it reverts to its normal form, the creature returns to a number of hit points it had before it transformed. If it reverts to dropping to 0 hit points, excess damage carries over to its normal form. As long as the excess damage doesn't reduce the creature's normal form to 0 hit points, it isn't knocked unconscious. The creature is limited in the actions that get performed by the nature of its new form. It can't speak, cast spells, or take any other action that requires hands or speech. Target's gear melds into its new form. It can't activate, use, wield, or otherwise benefit from, any of its equipment. That includes magic items.
all
Polymorph,
right.
baby.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Oh, yeah.
This does a lot. I keep forgetting how much this actually does.
Yeah. First and foremost, what this thing does is it turns enemies into squirrels. That's like the 90% use case. Is you go, oh crap, it's a kraken, polymorph, and then it's a squirrel. And then you take the squirrel, you put it in a jar, you shake the jar a little bit to make it irritated, and you throw it as far away from you as you can and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's a thing you can do.
Yeah. If squirrel doesn't spark joy, you can turn it into a baboon. You can turn it into a cat. You can turn it into a crab. Let
See,
me
all
see.
right, crab, okay. Like squirrels are fast.
Okay. All right. Let's go with dumber then. How about a frog?
Not dumb. I'm just something that can't run away so well.
Giant fire beetles are too large. Hold on, let me organize these by size.
Frogs are fine.
Frogs are good.
Or
Frogs are good, nice and slow. You do spiders; those are
slug.
e-bitty.
Yeah, slug.
If they're out of water, you can do quippers, so they like flop around as a fish.
That's fun.
That's going. They're not going anywhere as a fish. Yeah, most of these
Yes.
options are great. I like crab a lot. I like frog a lot. Those two are funny because they're slow and they just kind of like crawl around. And you take whatever the big threatening villain was, like the giant three-headed undead ogre with 4 clubs. You go squirrel, or more likely crab or frog. Or Velociraptor if you're so inclined. You kind of get dealer's choice of whatever you'd like here. If you have some villains that are angry at their subordinates and you just turn them into rampaging monsters, that also might be to your benefit, right? You might just be like, wow, he's just kind of pissed at everybody right now. I'm going to turn him into a mammoth, and then those things are closer to him than we are, and I'm just going to let them deal with that problem.
Okay, so explain to me again what happens. You turn him into a frog, and then you club the frog.
Okay, the frog has 1 hit point.
Yes.
It starts with that 1 hit point, and you kind of can consider that stacked on top of the monster's regular HP. So if you hit the club frog for 5 damage with your club, it loses that 1 hit point, it turns back into its regular form, and then it loses 4 additional hit points. If that
Okay.
reduction of 4 additional hit points doesn't drop them unconscious, they're not dropped unconscious.
Probably don't want to do that.
No, normally you want to like put it somewhere safe for an hour.
All right, now let's say it's a squirrel. You manage to get it in the jar, and you tie a bunch of rocks to the jar, chuck it in the ocean. Now what are we looking at?
It'll find out after an hour, right? It'll turn back into its form deep in the ocean depths, and if it
In
can't
a
survive
jar.
it, it'll crack out of the jar.
Okay. What if it's a really strong jar, like or something else? Something
Uh,
like a metal box, too small to hold it. but strong enough to not easily burst out.
This is where we're going to get into Dungeons and Dragons physics, and this is where we're going to wildly speculate on what occurs. I think rules is intended is it shifts out of the box, like it
Okay.
just like forms next to it is how I'd probably rule it. You might have DMs that go, well, it expands so fast that it either becomes paste or the box explodes.
Yeah.
And where you go in that variance, whenever magic is involved, becomes wild and unpredictable and will vary table to table.
But in the meantime, it's sunk like a mile beneath the waves. And
Yeah, at the end of it, no matter even if it doesn't die in the box, it's still somewhere very far away from you beneath the waves, probably dying to the pressure of the ocean.
yes. But
Which notably might get it to come out of the form sooner than you'd like. So, there are also those considerations, right? Because if it takes a lot of pressure and it deals damage,
that's
it
true.
might shift form. And if it got like teleportation and stuff, it might be like gone back to where we need to go or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, well then not foolproof, but
Well, an easier option is you just
potentially
plane
fun.
shift somewhere else, leave it there, and then plane shift away. Just take it
Well,
to
I was
Arborea or
looking-
something.
I was looking for a horrible way to kill it.
Oh.
But yeah.
Demotion death still probably get you there.
Oh, all right, here's another one. You put it in a cage. You got a squirrel, you put it in a cage, you throw it in a sickening radiance. Now
Sure.
it's not taking hit point damage.
It's gaining levels of exhaustion.
Yes.
Well, so that's not true. It does immediately take hit point damage and then immediately turns back because Sickening Radiance also deals damage.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
That's right. Never mind.
You could Mountain Doom it. You could take it to a volcano and chuck it in there. That'll probably work. That's classic, right? Frodo did it.
Sure,
It worked for the hobbits. Why not for the Lich? Just, eat a mosquito. Get in there. But yeah, Polymorph has a lot of fun applications. Even outside of catching the squirrel or frog or quipper or whatever you decide to make it, you're still normally going to remove the best thing from the fight by turning it into something that is stupid and small. And it will behoove you to be able to access it before the enemies do. Smart enemies will know to hit it to turn it back into its normal form. So you do want to have some mitigating ways to prevent that from occurring. Or be in a position where the enemies aren't inclined to shoot. Like, they just see their friend disappear. If they don't know what happened to him and there's a frog in the middle of chaos, they might just not notice it and keep going on trying to kill you. And that's kind of ideal. That's the ideal situation, I think.
That's probably not happening though. I mean, if what's good for the goose is good for the gander and you get polymorphed into a frog, you're gonna want your friends to notice.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're a frog. How do you alert them?
Well,
And you
hope
also
your
have the
DM
mentality
will
of the
see
frog,
you.
right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying you hope your DM will let them notice that you just turned into a frog is what I'm saying.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's
I will.
I'd feel bad if I did that and the enemies didn't notice me turning one of theirs into a frog, because then I feel like, oh crap, that could happen to me too. Whereas I'm okay with the other end of it. All right, they noticed. If I don't get that frog out of the way in time, they're gonna step on it.
Yeah.
But I want the same thing from my party.
I really conceptually think there's a lot more interesting dynamics than necessarily the binary, right? Of they always notice, they don't always notice. I think as a DM, I'm going to have messy encounters and I'm going to have straightforward encounters, right? If you're going in a court duel against a band of enemy adventurers, they will absolutely notice when their party members go missing. If you're on a battlefront and you're in a large horde kind of encounter and there's 6 siege ogres and one of them gets turned into a frog,
yeah,
I think a lot of people are just going to assume it got banished. They're going to assume it got killed. They're going to assume lots of things could have destroyed it, and they're not going to notice the frog. Then again, it's a battle map, or a battlefront, so it probably going to get squished anyway and immediately flip back. But
or if you're in a regular battle, like
there,
in the woods or something,
yeah.
The rogue is hiding out. He gets turned into a frog. Well, he's hiding already. So yeah.
Yeah. And there'll even be just like tight quarters, right? Dungeon quarters where there's doors and lots of different rooms. If the wizard goes in and sees one particularly nasty ogre turn to go and engage the fight, polymorph them and close the door.
Yeah.
Who's gonna know?
So friends will think that ogre's just a slacker.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he is too.
Yeah.
Maybe that plays into their. He never shows up to work, picks up club, bashes a paladin on the head, kind of deal. We haven't touched at all on the other upside of this, but I think is kind of funny. So if it's based off character level, you can turn your allies into high CR beasts with this.
Yeah.
That's normally not what you want to do because the cap on that is 8. And there are I think there are other restrictions to this, right? So
well, that's not something you normally want to do in combat but it could have out of combat applications.
That's true. And it sure doesn't care about size or anything like that. So you can pick any size of monster you
Yeah.
want. You also have to accept they're going to be dumb because they're turning into animals. So like even a T-Rex is an int of 2. So like if you do turn somebody into a T-Rex, they will still likely consider you friends and family. They'll recognize you and
Yeah.
stuff. They're not going to be like, I don't know who you are, but they are going to be dumb as a T-Rex. So you have to, consider that whenever you would take that option.
Yeah, but if you need to get across a ravine or like a small ravine, and then like, all right, you're a Brachiosaurus now. We're gonna walk on your neck.
You just have to hope that in between forms, it like maintains the level of consciousness to know this is what I'm supposed to be doing and to not move, right? Like there's a lot of fun adventuring to have happen there. I love it so much.
It is a level 4 spell. You're gonna be able to get across the length of a Brachiosaurus neck anyway. Just the first example that popped in the
But
head.
like giant monsters, generally speaking, have a
Yeah.
lot of use, right? They have high strength for breaking things. They have large
Yeah.
heights for scaling buildings, attacking from different spaces, causing distractions, being annoying. Weight, yeah, you've done plenty of things with horses to know about weight.
Sure.
Yeah, you can turn into Triceratops. They're really freaking big. A lot of these things are huge, and the difference between large and huge, I can't really emphasize. It is just a substantially larger amount of space. Like you're going from 4 squares to 9 squares. Like it's just big, chunky, extra space. It's gargantuan on a battle map. So many dinosaurs are online. It doesn't care if you see the dinosaur before. You can turn into giant sharks. You can turn into elephants. You can turn into killer whales. You want to be a cave bear? Be a cave bear. The smaller ones are a little bit worse. You can be a giant constrictor snake. That's kind of cool because you can like slither around. You're a giant snake.
Yeah.
You're constricting stuff. You get access to all of their abilities if you do those abilities at a pitch. Again, with the assumption that you have the mentality to know to use them in specific ways, but that could be kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, at minimum you get fly speeds. At minimum you get aquatic properties like fast swim speeds and water breathing and stuff. There is a lot of juice to that I think could be a lot of fun. You can become a cow.
And they'll have in combat. There's not like a frog with 1 hit point. I mean, they'll have a decent chunk there. Now, all right, you turn your friend into a giant ape. He's fighting the fight, yada yada yada. But he gets worn down. He gets pounded down to 0. And he just wakes up in his regular form with all his hit points again. Well, there you go. That's
a free
battery of
157
extra
hit
hit
points.
points. Yeah, that's fun.
There's like a real situation where you'll be like, all right, Barbarian, you're going to be slightly less efficient because you're only making 2 attacks that do 22 damage on hit. But you're going to gain an extra like 500 functional hit points from us doing this 3 or 4 times. So you're going to go in there, you're going to get angry, and you're going to be a monkey. And then you just turn them into a giant ape. They wail around a whole lot, and they take a bunch of damage, and then they get those hit points back, and then they can either rage and shrugs them off until they need to pick me up, and then you turn them back into a monkey, and you just keep it going.
Can they rage as an ape?
So Polymorph specifies some things. It's limited in its actions it can perform by the nature of its new form. It can't speak, cast spells, or take any other action that requires hands or speech. You don't need to be smart to be angry. So I would say you absolutely could rage. I would also say you can absolutely reckless attack, which leads to a lot of fun synergy happening with specifically the Barbarian class.
But all right, any other action that requires hands or speech, fighting usually requires hands, right?
You wielding a sword, yes.
Yeah.
Punching, absolutely not. You can still take all the actions that the new body has, and raging doesn't require any special items. It doesn't require
No, I'm
any
not talking about
special
raging,
speech.
but I mean, like, do you have to like just kick, or do you?
You get
Can
the
you
stab
use
block
your
of the
hands?
monkey. So yeah, you would get the giant ape's fist and rock attacks.
Okay.
So you could huck a rock 90 feet if you really, or sorry, 50 feet if you really wanted to, for 30 damage on hit, 76 plus 6 bludgeoning damage if you find enough rocks. And you can throw that twice, or you only get, you want a rock attack or 2 fist attacks, but
Okay, good.
it's not always right, but it is going to be a fun encounter if you do it every once in a while, especially if you're in like just like a grinder, right? Like you're level 11 and you're like, all right, DM, as the DM is like, I want to throw just 5,000 damage at you and see how long you can last. This probably contributes to the keep the Barbarian going as long as humanly possible to stack the HP up as much as you can. Because every cast of this, if Resistance is online, is 300 hit points worth of HP. That's for a 4th level spell slot in your Barbarian. And that's like a neat novel little thing. Now, it's not going to be 95% of encounters. You're not going to want this in 95% of encounters to do that. But there is some extra mileage if you really need to keep your Barbarian alive longer in the middle of a fight. You just be like, be a monkey, kill people, do to your monk or whatever. Now the largest question is, can monk use ki and stunning strikes while doing this? And I would say why not, because they're still punching. But your mileage definitely will vary with that one.
Yeah, and there's all right. Let
The
me
key
pose
save will
this
be lower because
argument.
they're using their new wisdom modifier for what it's worth.
All right,
So
let me
keep that in mind.
posit this argument. Is there a minimum wisdom score requirement to be a monk?
Yes. No, unless you're multi-classing into it. That's the minimums are for multi-classing.
All right,
You can start with any
I'm just
wisdom to be
talking
a
about
monk.
right. So if you can be a monk and get all these abilities with a 2 wisdom, I don't see a reason why you couldn't maintain that as an 8.
Sold.
All right.
I'm in. I was in before, and I'm in now still too. That sounds like a great argument to me.
Well, thank
But
you.
again, your DMs are going to vary as to what you can and
Yeah.
cannot do while polymorphed. So I'm largely in favor of letting the
It's
marshals
such
keep doing whatever they want.
that's a such a like a popular spell. I was going to say I'm surprised this hasn't come up, but I'm sure it has
Yeah,
multiple times. And but no, all right, I'm more surprised that it hasn't been clarified, or which it
it
might have
probably
been.
has.
Yes. Okay.
Check Sage Advice, check Jeremy Crawford's tweets, check they have a Sage Advice compendium. It's like a big rules clarification document. I have not read it extensively, and I don't plan to.
And one more thing, we brought it up with banishment, bringing it up here. If you're using this on your enemies, it upcasts, right?
Nope.
Oh no, it doesn't.
Nope, you get one
Oh,
always.
all right, never mind then.
There is a real difference between these two spells. They
Yeah.
do serve a similar purpose at exactly 4th level, where it's like they both remove something from a fight. And it's novel. That's
Okay.
useful. Polymorph does have fun upsides. Banishment also has fun upsides in its upcast and its permanence and a lot of other different things. So I like that both these spells exist, even if they kind of serve the same purpose for a lot of fights. I think I like Polymorph slightly more just because I'm more into the whimsical wild nature of it. I can absolutely see me being the kind of player that goes, crap, I'm wanted, we need a disguise, I'm a cow. And I'm just going to chill with the cows for an hour until this all blows over. That sounds like a fun way to spend a spell slot.
All right. All right. Back to one more thing. Back to Sickening Radiance for a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Say you conjured up something large. How much damage does that do the first round
Sickening Radiance does damage every round.
or every round?
Let me pull it up. Sickening Radiance. Sickening Radiance, cast out of an action. It's going to deal 40-10 radiant damage
Oh,
around,
all right.
which...
Never mind. That's
Hold up. No, I think
yeah.
I see what you're cooking. I think we can make this work. So if you make them large enough to not get popped,
Yeah.
it's a 22 damage around if they keep failing things. You just need something with 210 hit points. And there are
I'm
not
just thinking. I was
any of
thinking
these.
cow, something big and slow.
Oh no, cows have way too few
Yeah.
hit points for that to work.
Yeah.
But you can a giant ape's got 157, so that will take
Yeah, but he's
a
gonna be
lot of
fast.
rounds. It might pass a lot. That's a good point. Got +4
No, I
con.
mean he can just get out of there.
Oh, that's true. Unless it's like you
I'll-
cage him in, you know?
Yeah, but if you can do that, then you don't even need this.
That's a good point. Unless
Yeah.
they can teleport.
Yeah. All right.
I respect the hustle, but I don't think it's going to come out in our
Yeah,
favor.
that's fine. That's fine. All right. Well, I think we've beaten Polymorph to death. We had a good time though. That was a
It's a great
fun
spell.
one. Yes.
This is again one of these spells that I would highly recommend using more so than other saber dies. The fact that it's a saber die that has a fun mode makes it a spell that I would put on my character sheet because I'm normally not a fan of if I cast it and they save, nothing happens. This is a spell that I'm more inclined to use it on allies because then it's going to always work and you're going to do fun, wacky nonsense. Now, notably, that's way lower power. That's far lower power than the removing an enemy combatant from combat, but it's still a fun upside that I like a lot. I think this is probably another 5 out of 5. I really do think Polymorph has a pretty large impact on the game. If you're ever a DM and you're like, I have 3 things in this encounter, and then there's only 2, that encounter's power is wildly shifted in favor of the party. I didn't talk about action economy here. Go watch the banishment video for that. But it's functionally the same reason. So like this spell has huge impacts on the game, and it can do a lot of cool stuff.
Yes, it can, and even if even for strictly the allied stuff, yes, it's not as overpowered as taking the enemy out of the game. But for that alone, I'd be happy with it as a 4th level spell. Probably still give it a 5 out of 5. A lot of fun.
Super fun.
All right. That was Polymorph. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments and like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.